Good afternoon, everybody. Hi, I'm Chef Ken, and this is Cooking with Chef Ken. Today we're going to be working on some holiday appetizers. Now, for the theme for this, I decided a nice thing to do was pick some things we can get a double duty out of. We can use them for both appetizers and desserts with little modifications. Three things that work ideal for that are a basic cheesecake recipe, which I'm going to make a sweet version with as a white chocolate cheesecake, and using that exact same base, we're going to make a savory version, which is a gorgonzola leek cheesecake. So for our first course, we're going to be working on the savory cheesecake. So the first thing we'll do is we'll start working on the crust. For that crust, for both cheesecakes, we're going to use a very similar crust. We're going to start off with some crackers. And in this case, I just used some nice whole wheat crackers. Give us a nice hearty flavor that will work for either. And we're going to start with about 2.5 cups of crackers after they're crunched. So let's figure approximately what we're going to need here. Okay, we'll go ahead and drop those into a plastic bag. This is the way I prefer doing it. You could use a food processor, something like that. Then they tend to be real fine like that if you like a more fine crust. I like things with just a little more texture to them. So we can roll these crackers out like that. I'm going to add about 1/2 cup of crushed walnuts to that. So we'll go ahead and dump some in there. Next, we're going to take a 1/2 stick of butter. And now I'm going to go ahead and slice this up real nice. Kind of cut it into chunks to make it easier to incorporate into our crust. Drop them in there. And we'll go ahead and work that butter into the crust till it starts hanging together. Now you don't want it to, one thing you don't want to do is melt the butter, because then it doesn't make the crust stick together quite right. You know, it'll just make the crust greasy, basically. So you want it where you get to the point where it kind of clumps together like this, but it's still real loose. You don't want a real overworked, hard crust. So right about now we've got what we want. Like I said, we can press it together. Take our 9-inch spring farm pan. Something I like to do to help make it easier to get the cheesecake out of is, I'll go ahead and take some parchment paper. Go ahead and cut it out so it fits the bottom of the pan. Like that. I'm still going to go ahead and lightly butter the pan just a little bit, because some of the stuff will make it around the parchment paper. Plus, when I put the sides on, it'll help the parchment stick to the pan a little better. Now I'll go ahead and cut a collar real quick. Kind of stick that on. As you see, you have this then, which will make your final product easier to remove from the mold. Now we're going to take about half of this crumb mixture here, sprinkle it on the bottom of the pan. We're going to go ahead and press it down. Get a nice coating like this. Bottom of the pan. And we'll set that aside. Now I'm going to get my cream cheese. And we can start working on the cheesecake base. Start by measuring out 2.5 cups of cream cheese. Press it in there. Now when we do this here, if you have a scale, we've found that 1 cup of cream cheese weighs about 8.8 ounces. So you can go ahead and measure it out that way too. So we've measured 2.5 cups of cream cheese. Now ideally we'd like this cream cheese to be at room temperature when we start mixing it. It helps mix the ingredients more uniformly. Okay, so then we're going to put 5 eggs in there. I'm used to being in a kitchen where I'm surrounded with everything I need pretty much. So it's So we have 5 eggs. Thank you, sir. 2 yolks. And 2 teaspoons of flour. We're going to try to spread around. Hit and toss those leeks around a little bit. Now we're going to start mixing this on low. And we want to get it pretty uniform. We want to avoid getting a lot of lumps in the cream cheese. The one thing we want to watch is working this too much, because if we work it too much, we're going to whip too much air into it, and that's what causes your cheesecakes to crack. They rise too much from having too many air bubbles in them, and then they crack, and then they fall back down, and they still taste good, but they don't look as good because of the air bubbles. So we want to watch how much air we work into the cheesecake. That's why we're going to mix it on slow. And that's why it's also better to start with the room temperature cream cheese, because then that way you don't have to work it as much to distribute it through the mixture. And then we're also going to add our 1/3 cup of cream. Okay, now we've incorporated our base ingredients together. What we have now is our cheesecake base here. And in keeping with the theme of this, what I'm going to actually do is take half of this base here, take it out and make it into the gorgonzola leek cheesecake, and we can use the second half of this base to make the sweet cheesecake later on, the white chocolate cheesecake. The first thing I'm going to do is I need a double boiler going. So I'm going to get my pot on here, put some water in it. We need to get that water to a boil. So we have our 3 ounces of white chocolate, and we have our double boiler coming up to temperature. I'm going to go ahead and chop this up so it melts a little faster. As with any time you're melting chocolate, we need to make sure this bowl is very dry, because if we get any water on the chocolate's going to seize up. Let's stir our white chocolate. Now we're going to add our 2/3 cup of sugar. I'm sorry, we're going back to our cheesecake base we had made earlier. Now we pulled half of this out to use for the gorgonzola cheesecake. We're going to pull the other half out here and use it for the sweet cheesecake here, the white chocolate. So we're going to add our 1/3 cup of sugar, our vanilla extract again, just a touch of that. I try to get the natural vanilla, but there's not a particular brand I use. So our chocolate's nice and melted. I'm going to go ahead and pull it out of the double boiler here. And mix it in with our base. Now we have our pan, and we're going to go ahead and take our crust again. Sprinkle it down there. And press it around in the same manner we did with the other cake. Now we'll take our filling, pour it into the pan and level it off. And we have our cheesecake mixture now in our pan, same as last time. And we'll go ahead and place this in the oven. And once again, about an hour at 300 degrees, we'll then have this. Here. I'm learning as I go along. And here we have our final course, our white chocolate cheesecake. Thank you.